forewarned weather with Thomas Geboy.
Good afternoon, Utah. Happy Thursday or happy Friday Eve. I want to start off with the big picture of things because this will tell a really good job of what's going to be happening over the next couple of days. Yesterday, we saw an upper level low pressure more or less move from our north down to our south. And now that it's down to our south, it's not going to be moving much of anywhere as we go through the next couple of days. That's going to result in a few things. With our winds out of the east in northern Utah, we're going to be looking at some pretty strong canyon winds and downsloping winds. In the eastern portion of the state and in central and southern Utah, closer to that low pressure as moisture wraps around the low pressure, we'll be talking about a good chance for showers. So we're looking at windy conditions up north and in central and southern Utah and areas east of I-15. We'll be talking about a good chance of wet weather, especially by our Friday. We'll talk more about that in just one moment. First, let's go ahead and talk about the winds because as you can see, most of northern Utah is included within wind advisories. Most of these are going to continue through noon tomorrow, but the wind advisories that we have over towards the Uinta Basin and down towards Castle Country will continue through midnight tonight. Within the wind advisories, we'll likely see gusts upwards of 50 miles per hour, if not a little bit more. But where we're going to see the strongest winds are from the Salt Lake Valley north through the northern Wasatch Front into eastern Box Elder County and Cache Valley, where gusts could reach upwards of 60 miles per hour in the Salt Lake Valley. For Weber and Davis County, we could see gusts between 70 and 85 miles per hour, which means we could see hurricane force wind gusts, while in eastern Box Elder County and Cache Valley, wind gusts could reach upwards of 70 miles per hour. So if you haven't already tied down any loose objects in your yard, now's probably the time you want to do so, as we are seeing those winds beginning to pick up. And that'll continue to be the case from the afternoon into this evening, kind of staying steady, especially for the northern Wasatch Front, anywhere from 40 to 60 miles per hour. But look what happens as we move into tomorrow morning. Forecast model showing maybe some gusts upwards of 70 to 75 miles per hour, with maybe 60 miles per hour up in Logan. The further west you go of I-15, the less likely it is that you're going to see those very strong winds, but it still will be breezy at times. Once the wind advisories and high wind warnings come to an end by tomorrow afternoon, it's still going to be windy. It just won't be quite as windy. Still could see the occasional gusts upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour. Then we'll just mainly be looking at breezy conditions as we move into and through this weekend. In eastern Utah and central and southern Utah, we have alerts posted because we're expecting more wet weather. For the Uintas and for southwestern Wyoming, these will continue through 6 o'clock this evening. However, for central and southern Utah, for the central and southern mountains, Bryce Canyon country, and south central Utah, these winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings will continue through noon on Saturday, as we'll be looking at a pretty good chance of wet weather. Maybe we pick up an additional 1 to 2 feet of snow for the central and southern mountains. Let's play it all forward here on the forecast model. We'll start this at 1 o'clock, and we'll be holding on to that chance mainly east of I-15 with maybe a few showers sneaking west of I-15, mainly in the central and southern portion of the state as we deal with the high winds up north. More of the same as we go from tonight into tomorrow, but as more moisture moves into the southern portion of the state, I think tomorrow brings an even better chance of finding wet weather. Even St. George could see multiple rounds of seeing some rain showers with high elevation snow. Then as we go into our Saturday, the energy from the system begins to lessen. We'll still hold on to some moisture potential and obviously that breeze. It just won't be quite as magnified compared to what we're mainly going to see through the rest of today through our Friday. Here's the current view outside. This is the view from Price in Castle Country, and you can actually see a shower off in the distance. Looks like it's working its way in from the east into Price. Meanwhile, this is the view from Ensign Peak, and one thing that's really cool with this camera view are the clouds. You can actually see them moving from east to west out there, and that's why we're getting those strong downsloping winds and canyon winds, just because those winds in the upper levels are mainly out of the east. Temperatures at this point still mainly in the 30s and 40s. St. George, you're sitting at 50 degrees. Most spots will see daytime highs get a little bit closer to our seasonal averages, still going to be a little bit below. We'll top out at 51 degrees in Salt Lake City, 50 degrees in Provo. So most spots across the state, 40s and 50s, and a few spots in the high country like Park City, we'll see a daytime high in the upper 30s. As we make our way into central and southern Utah, we'll get to 55 in Green River, 44 in Gunnison. Then down south, St. George is likely to lead the way at 59, while Monticello and Blanding will see daytime highs generally in the 40s. In St. George, we have a slight chance of finding wet weather for today. It will also be windy across the southern half of the state. It just won't be quite as windy compared to up north. Scattered rain showers on Friday, isolated chance on Saturday, then slightly calmer from the end of the weekend into early next week. As daytime highs continue to warm, we'll likely be in the low 70s by Tuesday and Wednesday in St. George. Then along the Wasatch Front, just a slight chance over the next few days. We could see a few showers try to sneak in from the central portion of the state. Windy conditions through today and tomorrow. Breezy over the weekend as our temperatures continue to warm. Then slightly calmer conditions next week with highs in the low to mid 60s. Brian, Jill.